What's going on, guys? Welcome to the third part of this Android mini-series working with remote databases. What we're going to be doing in this tutorial is pretty much what we did in the last tutorial, but if you have hosting. So we're going to be working with cPanel here, setting up our remote database and setting up the bare basics of our PHP scripts. Jerome, play that music, dog. What's going on, guys? Like I mentioned, what we're going to be doing is setting up our remote database and kind of our directory where we're going to keep our PHP scripts. So what we're going to be doing is pretty simple, and in the last tutorial I kind of went in depth on server, well, not really too in depth, but I talked a lot more than I probably should have. In this tutorial we're just going to get things done, and I probably won't explain a whole lot. If you want to learn more, go back to the 2.18. If you guys don't have hosting or you already set up the stuff from the last tutorial, go ahead and skip this if you want. But it's also nice to know how to set up your databases on your hosting. And this is for a domain of one of my other companies that I haven't done anything with yet. I don't have much on the server, so we're going to mess around with this one instead of my bring back one. So generally when you buy your domain, you can just go to your domain name / cPanel, and there will be a login registration form most often. Otherwise they'll give you the login credentials in your email when you set up all your hosting stuff. Just go ahead and get into your cPanel. The first thing that we want to do is create a database. So within cPanel there should be a section called databases, or databases right here, and go ahead and click MySQL databases, right? And this is some somewhat sensitive information, so I'd appreciate it if you guys don't hack into the server and like mess around with it in the future, probably like when I actually have something developed on this server. Yeah, I'd appreciate that if you don't hack into it. But anyways, we're going to create our new database, and it's going to be called web service, and boom, hit enter. We've created web service. You guys might want to copy and paste this somewhere in like a notepad. So you guys might want to kind of copy and paste this information. I'm just going to say database name, paste. Alright, so our database name is backdeal web service, right? And we're going to go back, and we have created our web service. The next thing that we need to do is create a user. Again, the user will be able to manipulate the data within our database, create tables, modify stuff, and so we need to create that user. So we're going to create a new user, and it's going to be Travis or your name or whatever you guys want to do. Probably for security, you probably want to do something crazy a little bit maybe. But again, someone's gonna hack into my system anyways, probably, so I'm just gonna stick with my name. And might as well have a simple password as well. It's gonna be bacon1, all pretty easy stuff here. And just go ahead and create a new user, or you could use this password generator to get a more secure password, copy and paste that somewhere again within our notepad. We aren't going to worry about it. We're going to use bacon1, pretty secure. Just go ahead and hit create user, and we have our new user. Let's copy this information into our notepad. Our user is going to be backdeal_Travis, and our password is going to be bacon1. Alright, so that's pretty awesome. We have our username set up and our database. The next thing that we got to do is add that user to our specific database. So we've created our user and we've created our database, and down here we just say add user to database. We're going to select our newly added user and our database, which was database web service, and just click add. And next thing that we got to do is give our user the privileges they have of this specific database, whether they can only create new tables, for example, or they can only delete information, stuff like that. Generally we're just going to have this user have all the privileges, so they can make any adjustments they want to our database and just say make changes. Now our user Travis has access to this database web service, and they can make changes. But now what we have to do is create our database, our structure, our tables and all that information within our database. So again, we're going to go back to cPanel. Within the database section, we're going to open up phpMyAdmin. So as we jump into cPanel, we have that database we just set up. It's _web service, again, as we have defined here. So we're going to open that up and create some tables for it. Again, I explained what tables are in the previous tutorial. You guys might want to check that out. This is just a quick run through. We're going to create 2 tables, users, and that's going to have 3 columns, and hit go. Users is going to be ID, username, and password. We're just going to say 11, 64, and 256. Alright, unique. This is going to be unique as well, and auto increment here. So just get your setup going like this for your users table, and let's hit go, or save. Sorry, hit save. Always hit go, and I'm like, man, my internet must be super slow because I've been waiting for like 30 minutes for it to create this new table for me. But you actually want to hit save instead, and that will set up our table. It's pretty awesome. We can check it out, click on it, and we see our structure here. That's pretty awesome. Whatever. We're going to create a new table as well, which is going to hold our comments, and we can do it the previous way or this way. Create new table. Now we can hit go by adding 1 more column to our 2 more columns to our database actually. And we're going to set this up. Username. So this is going to be post ID, title, and message. And this will be our basic structure for a comment. We also need to change this stuff to varchar. I'm going to drive my varchar. That was a pretty sweet comment. And anyway, so we're going to set that up, and we're going to do 64, 120, and 255. Last thing that we want is post ID to be unique and auto increment. So go ahead and set that up as well, and just hit save. Again, I know I'm going real quickly through this tutorial, guys, so if you want more information about what we're actually doing, check out the previous tutorial. And also just let you know, this database structure probably isn't the best structure. I'm just doing something simple for the sake of this Android tutorial. So we're just setting that up, and we're good to go. We have set up our database and our table structure, and eventually we're going to start adding information to this to these tables, such as new users, new comments, all that stuff. So we're done with that. We're done with our database. Pretty awesome. The last thing that we have to do is set up our directory and set up a configuration file. So now what we're going to do is go back to cPanel, and there should be under the files section something called File Manager, and go to the root directory. Now, depending on how you guys have your web service set up or your hosting set up, you could probably create a new folder here called web service. So just go ahead and create a new folder if you guys only have 1 domain. But if you're like me and you have multiple domains on the same server, you might have separated some stuff out. So I'm just going to go into the specific domain that I'm going to be using here and create a new folder called web service. Delete that and create a new folder, and we're going to call this web service, and then open that guy up, and we're going to create 2 new PHP scripts. One is just going to be index.php, so we can test that our location is working, and our next one is going to be config.include.php, or INC. Sorry if that confused you. So now we have our 2 PHP scripts set up. Let's start editing them. You could be on Dreamweaver, or you could use FTP and like TextMate or whatever you guys want to do. I'm just going to use the code editor that comes with cPanel. So I'm going to open that up and create a new PHP script. Just something simple for our index.php, and it's just going to be a print statement, echo hello. And save that guy, and now we should be able to test out our domain, toysandboardgames.com/webservice/index.php, or since it's index, it will do that anyways. Or you don't have to put index at the end because it will call the index.php by default, so it's your choice. So index.php, as long as that's working, it looks like our directory is set up. It's in a location where we know how to access it, and it's looking pretty good. The next thing we want to do is set up our configuration file. So what that's going to do, so what this config.include.php file is going to do is it's the configurations for connecting to our database. Has our login credentials. We'll be able to make changes to our database anytime we include it. And then any of these other scripts, we could just say like require that specific configuration file. And then it would allow our index.php script to connect to our database, make changes if we want. But we're just going to set up this file real quickly. What we're actually going to do is go to the blog post. It's under our courses intermediate series. It will be the 19th tutorial, not this one, the next one, 19. Just go ahead and open that up, or actually you could probably open this one up as well. I think it's the same. It's going to be the same file that we're using. So go ahead and go down. It looks like I messed up here. I gotta reformat that stuff. But there should be a PHP script here called connect, and also a nice little tutorial on how to create a simple and basic secure login. Ours isn't going to be all that secure, so it might be good to check out that forum post. We're stealing a script from it, so I just want to give him a shout out. So just go ahead and copy the script to the clipboard and paste it over here. I'm going to delete out the mistake that I made, and there we go. We have our configuration set up. It's going to connect to our database and actually start a session, which we aren't going to use within this tutorial. We're going to be using sessions, but it has it set up for you. The next thing that we have to do is just change our credentials to the information that we saved previously. So our database name is backdeal web service. So that looks pretty good. And then our username is going to be backdeal Travis. And lastly, our password, bacon1, looks pretty good. And our host is still going to be localhost because our PHP scripts are still hosted on the same server as our database. So it's still going to be like a local host because it's all bundled into the same server. So again, that's how we're doing that. Looks pretty good. And let's save this. And we're done with our tutorial, guys. We have set up a configuration file. Again, there's more information about all the stuff we talked about in this tutorial, in the previous tutorial, if you guys want to know more information. But we have quickly set up all of the information that we're going to need to start developing our Android application that communicates with a remote database. So thanks, guys, for checking out this quick run through. I can't really call it a tutorial, but a quick run through of setting up the basic stuff for this mini series. Please subscribe, like, share, do whatever you gotta do to help us out because we'd love it. And we'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Catch you later.